Realty was always heavy newspaper at that point in time.
Yeah.
Like really in 2008, you were still faxing.
Yeah, you were.
Like you were still faxing all of
There was no DocuSign. Thank you for joining. You are in the vault with the Kate Broddick team. I am your host, Kate Broddick, and I am sitting here with someone who I've spoken on the phone with for many years, doing transactions, but only met for the first time in December on
Correct.
A panel.
Yes.
We have Chuck Hogeterp. Hogeterp?
Yeah, close enough. It's good. It's good.
I always have to ask, so pronounce it for me.
Yeah.
Hogeterp.
It's Hogeterp. Yes.
Hogeterp.
Yeah.
And your father, I actually, funny story, did not know until I started programming agents' names in my phones that there was a difference between you and your dad for the longest time. And we're going back like years ago.
Yeah.
But when anyone would say, or you or your dad would be on the phone, it was like, oh, it's Peter Hogeterp or Chuck. I was like, God, I thought that guy's name was Peter, but new in the business.
Yeah, for sure.
Didn't realize.
Yeah.
And then I realized it's a father-son team.
It is.
Team.
Yes.
And it's just the two of you.
It's just the two of us.
And our admin.
And our admin, yes. Yes.
That was actually quite an eye-opening, I guess, fact to learn about you on the panel in December that we did with the Wolcotts.
Yep.
That you both do all of these transactions, just the two of you.
Yes. Yes.
Where do you find all the time? No other agents on your team?
We have a couple agents that will help us out if we have a little
like
bit
a referral.
Like in a referral aspect, a couple agents that work with us a little bit. But for the most part, we take care of all of our own listings ourselves or showings ourselves, stuff like that. Where do we find the time? We work a lot.
Yeah.
It just comes to, it's like anything. You're same as you. Like you put the time in and you work really hard. And time management's a big aspect of it too. And then our admin's huge because, it's a real well-oiled machine now, like kind of what we have and in terms of our processes, right? So
it's interesting though because having other agents come on this podcast, you see this vast array or spectrum of high-producing agents.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them go into that team pathway because one of the things that they say is that they have found that they're expanding and they can't keep up with the business. Whereas, I mean, you're not a heavily marketed duo in terms of billboards, like socials and all that, but your signs are everywhere.
Yes.
So
it's very much referral based.
It is very referral based.
Yeah, like Peter got into it in 2002.
Okay.
Prior to that, he actually owned a meat abattoir in Cayuga, like a butcher shop in Cayuga. So, and then I got into it in 2008. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you always trust your butcher, right? So, it's true.
I thought you were going to say barber, but it's butcher.
It's one of those things, especially in the agricultural community that we're in, right? So he really didn't know anything about it and got into it. It was actually Peter Vandenduel, who works out of Caledonia, who told him to get into it. And then I got into it in 2008. But we've never had one billboard, nothing like that. No. It's just it's all relationships. It's referral and it's trust and honesty is really what runs our business. Yeah.
And has that been one of the reasons why you haven't officially, because I know, like you said, and you said it on the panel back in December, that you have people that if there's an overflow there and you can't manage the relationships that you have and nurture them, you will refer off that business. Is that the reason why you haven't brought that into your father-son duo?
Yeah, the thing is with Haldeman Norfolk, like we specialize in Haldeman Norfolk, obviously. A lot of people in Haldeman Norfolk, and other realtors who have teams will say, well, that's not the case, but like with our business and the way we, our referral-based business, people want Peter or myself.
Yeah.
Like even my first, from 2008 to 2012, there was still times when they're like, well, we want Peter, right?
Because
So and now it's, obviously it's totally fine and everything's great, right? We're pretty much interchangeable in that aspect. But if we went to a listing and you go to list a farm or you go to list, someone you played hockey with, it's just so community based.
Yeah.
We feel that if we did bring team members on and that type of thing, that it just we wouldn't be able to give the personal service, I guess. That is, in my opinion, what separates us. So,
yeah. Yeah, so a little bit about you before we get into it, because I have a bunch of questions in terms of that father-son relationship, because that's the first time I've had this on this podcast. And obviously, listening to you speak on the panel, that was the first time it would be more of a like question and answer where I got to learn a little bit about you, which I found was really fascinating, especially when it came to your client appreciation. Why did you start in real estate? Like, what were you doing before? What made you get into it? Obviously, you got father's influence, because if he started in 2002 and you came in 2008, Remax Escarpment, which I just learned. I never know anyone's brokerage because I always follow the agent, not necessarily the brokerage.
So before, when my parents sold the butcher shop, I needed to work, so got into construction and was framing houses. Majority production framing, like all of Bimbrook and like Bimbrook, Caledonia, Milton, those areas. So did that for probably 4 years or so, 3-4 years, and then my dad was selling real estate at the time, and I was always interested in sales, like growing up and with your own business and right? And I went to school for business down in the States. So, when I got, my dad literally came up and he's like, "I got a business that's coming for sale. Would you be interested in it?" And it was a mobile wash company. Washing trucks. So I said, well, we looked at the numbers, looked at the books, and it was hard work, but it was a legit business, right? So I ended up purchasing that, and I did that for another 4 years. And I'd got into real estate while I was still owning that, and it just got too much. So I sold that business, got into, obviously it was full-time real estate, and go from there. So, so I butchered, then washed trucks, did construction, then washed trucks. And I actually didn't even tell my dad I was getting into real estate. I just took all my courses and called him up one day and said, "You need any showings done?" And he said, "Why, what's up?" I said, "I'm a realtor now."
Oh, wow.
I had just went and met with Zerini's, and he's like, "Head to Peacock Point." Went and did a showing that afternoon. So it just started like that. Yeah. Because at the time I was probably 26-ish, I guess, or 25 when I got into it. Yeah. So, I didn't want to go and say I was going to do it and then not follow through with it or that type of thing. So I took the initiative to do it and go from there. And it's worked out well.
It has worked out well. Yeah. And like I say, it's not uncommon to drive down Haldeman, Norfolk, and see yours and your father's signs. For sure. And that's something to be proud of, because, once again, being in the business for not even 20 years yourself, your dad obviously more than 20 years, it's not an easy business to get into.
It's not, no.
And I think one of the biggest misconceptions from new agents is they see, especially with this new age of influencers coming onto social media, they make it seem like it's so glamorous. Yeah. And if you just, do a couple videos here and there, your phone's going to be ringing.
And you're going to sell 100 homes a year.
Yeah. Not at all. And actually sat down with Mike Kettle, a good colleague and friend of mine, have so much respect for him. And he told me the story where he used to stare at his phone and be like, it's got to ring at some point. And the truth is it's not going to ring unless you form the relationships.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's what piqued my interest so much, hearing you speak. Obviously the inspiration came from your father being a realtor, I'm assuming, right? Even though that I would have assumed he would have come to you as his son and said, "Why don't you get licensed?" But it was actually the opposite.
Yeah, it was the other way around. Yeah.
So how did you get into that and kind of walk in your father's footsteps now, just the two of you? He obviously did very well before you got into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because of his relationships through his butcher business. And did you follow along with that, or did you guys kind of create this father-son trajectory and implement just different systems, different ways of doing things, or did you just fall into like kind of the business that he was forming?
So, again, it still goes back to relationships and referrals and that type of thing, right? Yeah. But so when I first got into it, he said, "You're not putting any signs up. You're not doing any of this. Any listing you have is going under me, because I want to make sure you're going to be like the bet that I can leave you if I'm away or this and that. Like when you actually start advertising for yourself, or we co-advertise, I want to make sure you're as good as I am."
Yeah, good for him.
And so it was about 2 years. Like, you learn the business. When you get into real estate, you don't know anything.
No, you don't know anything.
You don't. Like, you did a course. You don't. And especially back when we got into it, it was I did mine at the Brantford Hotel for 2 weeks and go from there, and then the other one was in Niagara Falls. In a few months, you could be a realtor, right?
Yeah,
so
that's right.
And
they teach you nothing, but meets and bounds.
That's
and I still don't know what that is.
I still remember meets and bounds, still to this day. Yeah, but so in that aspect, I guess it was more learning how he did things and your interactions with people, and just I guess honing your craft more.
Yeah,
and then as we progressed into that. We were getting in, because when I got into it in 2008, there was obviously huge economic uncertainties.
Absolutely.
Similar actually to when there, kind of what there is now.
Yeah.
Obviously the States was in a big economic recession at the time, and probably not the best time to get into real estate in 2008. So 2009 and 10 were a little bit slow. And then, same thing, came down to hard work. And as we progressed, then, he was always heavy newspaper at that point in time.
Yeah.
Like really in 2008, you were still faxing.
Yeah, you were.
Like you were still faxing all of
There was no DocuSign.
There was no DocuSign. You weren't even scanning to email at that time.
No, you
weren't. You were faxing the stuff to the lawyers, and it seems like it's yesterday, but it's 17 years ago now, right?
Yeah.
So as I got into it, then obviously I got into, your website aspect and your social media aspect and the more, internet marketing aspect of things, which is still kind of how we handle things. Because although we're father son, we are actually two totally separate entities, although we co-advertise together.
Yeah.
So I have my clients in my business.
Yeah.
He has his clients in his business. We don't go to listings together. We don't go to showings together. I know all his clients. He knows the listings. We know each other's stuff. So if someone calls about it, but we're our own, two independent in that aspect. So I kind of have our own book of businesses in that aspect. So which has worked well you see it a lot of times with a few of the father-son businesses out there. It's kind of always either just the father or just the son, and we've broke away from that mold.
Yeah.
It's still very much father-son, but I just mean from a statistical and selling point of view, I guess, business point of view. And obviously the statistics show that, but so we've really, I got into a lot more of the, internet and social media and
then your father.
More marketing aspect, which was good timing at the time to grow the business as well, because a lot of people weren't doing that at the time. So, and that's where even, being with Remax Escarpment at that time, and obviously we've been with them right from the start, from their educational aspect of what to do to grow and to expand, and that as well really worked well for us. And then it just kept, so we had one assistant at the time, and then hired another one, and just kind of just kept snowballing and kept rolling, and haven't had to get a billboard yet.
No, but you know what, though? That's one of the things we talked about in the last podcast was fixed and variable costs.
Yeah.
A fixed cost is something that you feel like you're going to get paid back on, whereas that variable cost is, it's variable on whether or not you sell, right? So like a referral fee or whatever else. But how do you gauge that? You don't know dollar for dollar when you're putting out marketing, bus benches, buses, billboards, online advertisements. It's a really hard metric to measure.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, where do you stop? And I've had this struggle with my own business because we market a lot.
You have great marketing, like the way you've set it all up, and even what you've accomplished and created and built. Although we have different business models in that aspect, I got a tremendous amount. They both work, and that's the cool thing about it, right?
It is the cool thing about it. But I also always appreciate the authentic approach of referral and relationship based businesses, which it takes time to get into that, because
time.
Yeah, like you're not walking into as a new agent getting like referrals.
That's
like anyone who thinks that that's the name of the game. Like it took me probably about 5 to 7 years to really see that start to snowball.
For sure. Yeah.
And obviously having a family run business in the neighborhood that you're selling in. So Haldeman, that's a really big neighborhood. It's more, the counties you're selling in.
Yeah.
Haldeman County, Norfolk County. You are put in front of people where they've already met you. They know the type of service you have. They know how you communicate. That is still a large referral source, but now you're in real estate. That's a different ballgame, right? So
really, when you look at them, like my dad always says too, at the end of the day, when he got his first call to list a house from one of his friends, he said, who would ever sell their house with me? Like really, back in 2002, you just get out of butchering and go from there. It's So and now it's just your life. Like, I don't know. I don't look at real estate as, your job or career. It's your life.
Well,
like real
that's what
estate's
you
not
said.
a job. Real estate has to be your life. It has to be your lifestyle, and it's the way it is. Right?
Well, I mean, there's no set hours in real estate,
sure.
And that's one of the things you spoke about when we were talking about like, what do you do for like self care? You're like, I just work. Like I just
probably not the healthiest or the best, but yeah.
But I love that is like you're not a showman. Like you're like, this is how it is. This is how I run my business. I work an outrageous amount of hours, but I love it.
That's the thing, and you can't look at the hours. You just got to look at servicing the clients the way they need to be serviced and provide that service is the biggest thing. Yeah.
And so was the reason why you focused on Haldimand, Norfolk, just because of your location in terms of where you live, the business?
Yep. Like we do actually do quite a bit in kind of West Lincoln, wrapping around into Glanbrook and getting into Hamilton Mountain and that type of thing as well. Yeah. We don't sell a ton out in Burlington or Oakville, and you've got Brantford locked up, so there's no use going to Brantford.
No, that's not true.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to say this right now. Every single time we've done a transaction together, and anytime I've been on the phone with your father, it's like, hey, Kate, how's it going?
For sure.
I got an offer coming in for you.
Yep.
And it's like, there is no static. There is no ego. It's like, let's just get this done and make everybody happy.
For sure.
If everybody wore that as a badge of honor in real estate, this job would be so much better.
Yep. You have agents that you really like to deal with. Yeah. Because it takes two good agents to get a deal done.
Absolutely.
It takes cooperation, professionalism, but it takes two good agents to actually get a deal done. And it's not about, getting an extra $1,000 off. It's about the sellers getting what they want.
Yeah.
And the buyers getting what they want.
Yeah.
We're really mediators in order to get people what they want.
Yeah.
And if people are happy, then sales and commissions are just a byproduct of it.
That's absolutely true. Yeah. But also it's I find most agents actually block everybody from getting what they want.
That's exactly it.
Because their chest is puffed up, and it's like, oh, I got to get one on that other agent. It's like you're actually the person that's blocking the transactions from happening because there's a big ego here that's right in the middle of this being successful. Yeah. And that's, once again, it's a breath of fresh air. It's very refreshing when I get calls from people like yourself, or you're just messaging me to say, hey, what's going on with this property? Or I'm messaging you, hey, what's going on with this property?
Yeah, that even with yourself, which is hard to get from other realtors nowadays, you actually get a response. Like quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what you want.
We have each other we dealt together for 10, 12 years and didn't meet. And I considered Kate Broddick a friend.
Yeah, well, that's
a weird thing about our business.
Well, that's why I was like, oh my God, Chuck's here at the panel. It's like, oh my God, I haven't met you. This is weird.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is true. But and that's the weird thing about this business. Like, why don't people answer their phones?
Everybody just wants to email nowadays. Like, pick your phone up and call and talk. Yeah. And when you actually look at it, like the top agents, yourself, myself, Peter, the other top agents, they still call.
They do still
We all still call. And I think that's a lot of new agents getting into it. That's what they need to know as well. Don't get me wrong. It's a tough business to crack into because, quite frankly, you have people like yourselves. You have people like
you
myself.
And
Peter. You have those, business models that really work.
Yeah.
And not that I ever discourage anybody from getting into it, but it is tough because you got to compete with us.
Yeah. Yeah, who have the referrals or have the marketing budgets
and have the knowledge.
Yes.
Like the other things, that's the biggest thing is knowledge, right? So
I like what you said there though about picking up the phone, and I've been a big advocate for this because obviously I have I would say a mid-sized team. All of our agents have their own business, which is a misconception that, it's like Kate, and then you've got these agents. Like, no, my agents are entrepreneurs. They run their own business very successfully. We have the same systems in office because obviously that's something we coach, but they are like on their own, boots in the ground running. They're doing their thing and they're doing an amazing job. But one of the things I always preach is pick up the phone. Please don't be the person that texts and emails. I mean, you lose tone, you lose enthusiasm, you lose everything in a text message and an email, and it lacks personal element. Yeah. So would that be something that you say that you do very well?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And even your agents as well are very good at it.
I happen to say I love on them hard, but they're good people.
Yeah, for sure. Like I pretty much dealt with the majority of your agents selling or whether they're buying one of our properties or selling one of your properties. And It's always super smooth, and communication's great, and
Yeah.
really that's compliment to the way you're running it, right? So
Thank you. And they're just I think they see the effects of getting on the phone and having an honest conversation,
for sure.
because more can be I think more comes out of in a quicker period of time, just picking up the phone rather than sitting there and texting each other.
Oh, and that comes back from time management, everything. Everyone thinks texting and emailing is quicker.
Absolutely
You can
not.
get way more stuff done in a 3-minute phone call than you can on a, 5. By the time your emails are done, you be on the computer for 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So, yeah.
So I do want to circle to one thing that you talked about, and I really loved this, was your client appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
And what you do for your clients, like say end of year.
Yep.
Would you mind like elaborating a little bit about that? Because I thought that this was really, first of all, you invest huge into your clients.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Not everyone does though.
Yeah. See, some people have, I guess, like, to be totally honest, some people say, well, it's not as personal to just do it at the end of the year. You should do it on the actual closing day, and you should do this and do that.
Yeah.
We did that for a little bit. The tough thing is they're moving into their house. They got mom and dad and Uncle Jerry and this, and like they got friends, and they're moving it. Like, it's a stressful day. Like, they're moving into their house. That's great.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's get in. We got to do this. So
100 tabs open.
Like, exactly. Yeah. Good to see you, Chuck. See you later. Right.
Yeah, get out. I have boxes.
That's exactly. Unless you're going to help. Like,
get out.
So in that aspect, obviously it gets a little long with your people from January and February and March. But again, a lot of our clients we see through different community events and just at the grocery store and just being around and charity functions and that as well. So you're always kind of present because you live where you're working and it's small town, right? So, but so some people have, other, I guess, realtors or real estate companies or marketing gurus say that, you should do it right on the day of. And so we tried it just for a few months, didn't really get a great feel. So we kept doing it. And Peter has always done that. And I followed through with it as well. And so at Christmas, we always give a gift card. We always give gift cards. You have a card, you have, some type of gift as well.
Yeah.
So and at Christmas, everyone's happy.
Yeah.
Like for the most part, everybody's happy.
Yeah.
And we always get it out before Christmas. It's just, and we generally do it for the last kind of 2 years.
Yeah.
Right. So, and you say, you have CRMs, you have this, you have that. People love getting stuff.
Yeah, they do.
At the end of the day, even if it's, and even for some people that didn't buy, but I just felt I had a good relationship with, so send them $50 gift card to Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
They'll for sure deal with
everyone loves their coffee.
No, it's true.
My travel agent dropped off. Her name is Trish Sawkins, by the way. If anyone needs a travel agent, she's absolutely amazing. She booked me.
It's a great plug for Trish.
It is a great plug for Trish, but she dropped off at my house my package with all my printed stuff, just in case there wasn't Wi-Fi or there was a problem with my phone. So I would have a package of all my tickets, my hotel reservations, numbers to call if there was a problem, everything. And then she slipped in there Tim Hortons gift card so I could have coffee at the airport, but then she also brought these water balls for my kids. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is so nice.
It is. And you'll be, well, what did that cost her? $70?
And
you know what I mean? Like,
the appreciation was like,
you'll use her for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and she's also a client of mine.
Yeah, no, I know. No, but I'm just saying.
So I hope she uses me for the rest of her life too. But
for sure. But that's the thing with it,
it's
right?
Thoughtful.
So,
and I think when things are thoughtful, that's when people realize that they were thinking of me. For
sure. And as much as it caught, because, obviously we have, especially from Haldeman Norfolk, there is people that move around and, even move out east. I've had a lot of clients move out east or out west during COVID, out west as well, like from, Dunnville, Waynfleet area. There was a lot moving out west to Alberta. So some, you have to mail out. But although it was a lot more work this year, having the mail strike on.
Oh, yeah, Canada
you had to
Post. That's right.
Like having Canada Post strike. So you got to go deliver 200, 250 cards. It was actually the best thing ever.
Because you got to talk to them, too.
You got to talk to it. Like, we normally would call it 50-50 because you only got so much time. But you had to make time this year. If you're not going to send them out in January, that just looks tacky.
Yeah,
right? So it actually worked out great. Yeah. So.
And then you also pretty involved in your community.
Yes, big time.
And so why don't you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we, growing up, my grandparents immigrated here, both of them in 1951 from Holland, and one went to Copetown area, and then one went straight to Cayuga. That was my dad's parents. So I was born in Cayuga. I still live in Cayuga. Obviously grew up playing sports and hockey and all that type of thing there, right? So it's just, Haldeman Norfolk, I still say, is one of the most underrated areas that there is, right? People come out and say, well, it's, we're coming out to Haldeman Norfolk because the property values are cheaper, and chatted with someone about that today, right? Yeah. The thing is, it's such a community, like, people care in this, like, they care.
They do.
So it's, even with some of the larger developments coming in, you look in Caledonia, and that a lot of the clients that come in do see that as well, and they integrate into that too. So yeah, we've always been very community focused in terms of, supporting our local communities, local organizations, any fundraising that they're doing, whether it's new arenas, whether it's art shows. It gets to a point where sometimes there's almost too many letters coming in, but it's
sponsor everyone's kids hockey
like
team.
That's it. The River Kings there. It seems like, there's a lot of River King sponsorships going out there, but no, it's good. We're so fortunate to have the community that we live in, and especially to have the small town with still having the location that we have to the larger centers, right? So because I still say we're the most affordably priced municipality. I consider Haldeman Norfolk. They were together
they're interchangeable.
They used to be together, and then they weren't together. Then they got together. Then they separated again.
There's a lot of breakups.
Yeah, exactly. It's like high school.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but I still say we're the most. We are the most affordably priced municipality within an hour and a half of Pearson Airport.
But it's also beautiful.
It's unbelievable. It's the best kept secret there is.
It's and that's one of the reason why I wanted to open this office was because I guess I missed it when I moved here from the GTA.
Yep.
I was always thinking bigger city. I was working as a dental hygienist, and I got into real estate. But then when I started coming out and getting calls from people in Norfolk, I didn't realize the landscape and how absolutely beautiful it really is. Yep. Yes, it might be a shot down the highway to get from Brantford to here, but then when you get here, you've got so much agricultural land, so many port towns around you.
For sure. Yep.
And it is really spectacular. It reminds me now of what Brant County was like 15 years ago, but more vast.
Yes. Yeah.
And you specialize in a lot of agricultural farming, don't you? Yep. So tell me a little bit about that in terms of your niche for selling. Now, you do all residential sales, by the way. Like, I know that.
Yeah,
but
for sure. Yeah,
you do a lot of, like, what, hobby farms, specialized farms?
Yeah, like agriculture, a lot of agricultural land. It's what, I guess it kind of ties in with, what we used to do, right? So it's, a lot of people don't have the knowledge of farms. Like, there is so much that goes into it. You need to know about, your different soil. It's not something they teach in real estate school. Like,
of course not.
You have to know that, and you have to specialize in it. And the people that you're dealing with, it's all about trust. Like, next week I'm selling, it'll be a 5th generation farm. Like, it hasn't been sold since the 1800s, right? So to manage those emotions and to really gain that trust and walk them through that process. Yeah. And then the other aspect is the buyers as well. You're dealing, farming is not a small business anymore.
No, it's not.
It is a very, very large business.
Yeah. And it's a lifetime commitment.
Like, that's the thing with it. And, a lot of the larger, even cash croppers, for example, that are expanding, it is pure business. It is cash flow. It's dollars and cents, and it's what's going to make the most sense to go from there. So, and you see some agents just throw a sign up on a farm, like, sometimes they're $300,000 underpriced. They just don't know, right?
Yeah.
So in that aspect, it's always grown up in the country, and my grandparents were dairy farmers, and it's you just grew up with it. It was natural to kind of get into.
Yeah.
My dad already had a market share there too, and then we didn't do as much in Norfolk when we first got into it, but now we've, with the agricultural side in Norfolk as well, we pretty much have that market, that number 1 market share there too.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. So, and again, but that was even gaining more knowledge about it in terms of your different crops and soil price. You got to you got to keep up on commodity prices and what's happening there.
Absolutely.
And what's
It's a totally different beast. You have to be involved in it.
And everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you remember Pop Quiz? And I had, this is, I think, one of those moments where I gained a lot of respect for you, understanding who you were as a person, as an agent to an agent. We weren't doing this deal together, but I had put up a property. I was pretty, not vanilla, but this property was definitely vanilla for me. It was in Haldimand, and it was, I believe, on Highway 6 going towards Caledonia. And you called me up, and I put a little property up there that had mineral rights.
Yes.
And I didn't know what mineral rights were. And you called me. Well, it had
surface rights only.
Yeah.
Yes.
And at the time, I had no knowledge of that.
Yeah.
But I just, it's a house and it's whatever. And I put the house up on the market, and you called me that day.
Yep.
And you said, Kate, I just saw your listing. I just wanted to give you a heads up, just so then that way there's no trouble.
For sure, because it wouldn't have closed.
Well, there you go. And but I was so much respect for you, because you could have been like, oh, stupid agent, and just let it go. You said, I'm just letting you know because I wouldn't want to see get any trouble happening.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
This property has mineral rights on it. I know the area very well, and it's something that you need to look into. So then that way you can protect your seller.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, oh my God. And I was so grateful to you, because had that happened and SHIT hit the fan.
Oh, for sure.
But most agents wouldn't do that.
No, they wouldn't.
It's unfortunate, but most agents wouldn't do that. I've never forgot that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I do remember it as well, because it's in the legal description. It always says SRO. And a lot of people don't even know there's because we don't deal with it. You have mineral rights, surface rights, and then you have air rights. Yeah. Right. So it just, with the amount of gypsum mines and stuff that we have in Haldimand, it's it all sold off, and then even gas wells out in Norfolk and stuff. But that's where a lot of you can't teach that. You learn that the hard way.
You do.
You learn it the hard way. But really, people hire us as representatives. They say, "Oh, we're going to put a sign up, do this, do that." We have to know our stuff.
Absolutely, and that was an eye-opening moment.
Yeah, but I guess doing so much work in Haldimand and Norfolk, right? For even call it back when I started, there was very few outside agents.
Yeah.
Like very few. Yeah. So you worked with the same 60 people.
Yeah. So and who knew the land.
And that's the way, who knew the land, but even you worked with the same 60 people.
Yeah.
So you dealt with them all the time, and you gain your relationships and go from there and that type of thing. But it's about, we all need to work together.
We do need to work together.
Be a good human being.
Well, easier said than done, but yes. Yeah. But when you called me on that, it was one of those moments where I thought, you know what? It's the first moment where I'm like, I'm out of my league on this. I didn't know.
Yep.
The seller didn't know. Mm-hmm. I've never researched anything so hard in my life in the next 3 hours.
Yeah.
But it taught me one thing, where we shouldn't be selling everywhere and everything.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And that's a humbling moment. It's and it's not. It doesn't make you any less of an agent to say it.
Not at all.
It just, you know what you're good at, unless you educate yourself and gain experience. Or you know what, a really good thing would have been like, you know what, Chuck, why don't you come on this listing with me?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I want to learn about this a little bit more. That was an utter panic moment, but I can't say enough. Like, you get agents who would either be like, what an idiot, wouldn't say anything, I hope she gets in crap. You didn't.
And they hope.
For sure. They hope. And that could have been a bad situation for me, but it was turned around, and it was an educating moment for me.
Yep.
And a lot of respect for you for doing that, because if everybody treated everybody in this business that way, it would be a far greater culture, and we'd all get along better. It would be a lot. Yeah. And don't get me wrong. Like, there's a lot of amazing agents. Yeah. But like, you're just like, you know what, Kate, I just don't want you to get in trouble. So here's this thing. Sure. And I was like, how cool is that?
No, it's true. Yeah.
So I never thanked you for that. So thank you. Yeah, that was awesome.
That's why I got invited today, I guess.
You know what? It was actually because I was like, I loved your perspective on the panel. Yeah. I love hearing people who, it doesn't have to be the influencers or the people who like jump into the business and win on TikTok, or the people who have this like crazy like app that they've developed in Toronto for showing houses. Hard work. You were just the guy who was like, you know what? Yeah, I just work really hard. I work really hard. I treat my clients really well. I do client appreciation. I'm involved in my community. Small town guy, did it boots on the ground running. And you know what? That is the old fashioned way of just hard work, and nobody can take that away. TikTok almost got banned.
Yeah.
What would have happened to the TikTokers? Instagram goes down, or the new platform, and you got to figure that out.
Yeah, exactly.
That is something that's evolving, but there's one thing in real estate that you cannot take away from, and that is relationships and building them in the authentic way. Yep. And that's why you're here. But I also wanted to plug in the mineral rights, because I didn't know what that was.
There you go.
So, nice. I mean, but you guys are on socials.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, like we have one of our assistants, Yeah, she has a marketing degree and takes care of all our social media and advert.
Do you guys do dances on it?
We don't.
You don't do Reels and TikToks?
Everyone says we should start doing that. I mentioned it to Peter once, and he's like, if I'm starting to do that, I think...
it's time for me to retire.
I don't think he'll ever retire, but he's like, I'm not doing that.
No.
You want to do it? You go right ahead.
Yeah.
No one really wants to see me dance or anything like that either.
I know. I know. But so she just like posts like your stuff for you.
Yeah, she does all that, and she does it all and does great. And we have a good following on it too, and so it works out.
But that's not your claim to fame, anyways. People just know you because of your name.
Yeah, for sure. And name and your service, and
your signs.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah.
And so do you guys see anything in the future coming up in real estate? Is it just going to be you and Peter and your assistant? Like, do you guys ever wonder if you'll expand or maybe go off on your own? Or I'm sure Remax Escarpment doesn't want to hear that. But
no, we've pretty much had every single brokerage approach us.
Of course
the Zerini family has been so great to us. And
loyalty is a big thing for you guys.
It's huge. So we've had some pretty amazing offers and that, but we would never go on our own.
Don't fix what's not broken.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't know, just do what you're really good at.
Yeah.
Do what you're good at. Like running a brokerage is totally different.
It's completely different.
It's completely different. And then you get the liability aspect. Like it's completely different. And I think it would almost take away from what we do.
Yeah.
So nope, in that aspect, we'll stay
You're
with
happy
Remax
where you are.
Go from there.
It's a well-oiled machine.
It is.
There's no need to rock the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, in that aspect, it's we're always growing and expanding and learning and doing what needs to be done. And you look at, I haven't done too much research on it, but you look at everyone's talking about AI and all that type of thing.
I can't get into that.
I can't either.
I actually hate it.
I'll be honest. I actually think it's evil.
It freaks me out that somebody can recreate you.
Yes.
And there was a short story here. I was watching this introduction about the dangers of AI, and it was this little girl on a movie theater screen, and she was saying, "Mommy, it's me. I'm Elisa.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's me, Mommy." And she looked like her, sounded like her, and the mom and dad were in the audience like, "What is this?"
I don't like it.
I don't like what you can do with that stuff. I get technology is an amazing resource.
It is, yes.
But I also think that there's a line.
I do too. And people say it, who knows how it's going to affect different, affect our industry or other industries or that type of thing. But I don't know, with people's biggest investment of their lives, the biggest investment of their lives, and typically where a lot of their wealth is tied up.
Yeah.
They want someone to be there with them.
Who's a real person.
Look at Purple Bricks. Look at Comfrey.
They didn't work.
Look at nothing. None of it worked. Purple Bricks sold 70% of the real estate in Britain.
Really?
Yeah, like when they bought Comfrey, they were the largest real estate company in Europe.
Really, I didn't know that.
They come to Canada, it doesn't work. Like it's one of those things.
Yeah.
People, they want to be, they want the expertise. Especially in our communities and
smaller communities.
Like even going back to referrals, hey, we could list in Owen Sound, we could list in Toronto, we could list. I just referred out. I just got an accepted offer on a place here in Simcoe on the weekend, and they have a house to sell. They have a house to sell on Lakeshore in Mississauga. Yeah. I could have listed it. I don't know the area.
Like, Well, I learned that with mineral rights.
No, but I don't know the area. I refer it out to Olivia Turin, who's the number one agent out in that area, right? So you refer it out and go from there because that's what's best for your client.
Absolutely.
It's not about making a little more commission or this. It's about what's best for the client.
Absolutely, right? It is. So, and I also fully believe that in terms going back to the AI, I think that in some aspects it can be work well. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any because it really does freak me out. It gives me the creeps. But in real estate, people want to know that when they pick up the phone, they're talking to a person.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah.
And they want to know that when they need your advice, sometimes 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, because it's emotional.
Yeah.
Aren't you in bed at 11?
Depends.
Oh God. But they want to know. They want someone who's going to show empathy, support, give you strategies, and it's not just a written script from ChatGPT.
For sure. Exactly. Yeah. I agree.
So I know that there will be people who will argue with me that they think that real estate will be replaced by the robot. I think maybe in major metropolises where that sense of community and connection isn't there.
Yep.
I think in areas like Brantford, Brant, Haldimand, Norfolk, small town, I think that our jobs are secure in the fact that people will always desire our knowledge and our expertise, but it needs to be earned.
Yeah, for sure. And there'll always be a need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always. So
it's been a pleasure. I know. For sure. I felt like we weren't quite sure if you wanted to come on the podcast.
That's good.
But we got you here.
No, it was great.
And,
I enjoyed it.
I got the phonetic spelling of the last name, which I'm always like Hogeterp. It's Hogeterp.
There you go.
Hogeterp.
She nailed it this time.
I got it.
She got it.
And if someone were to want to find more about you, and anyone who is looking in Haldimand, Norfolk, agricultural properties, anything with mineral rights, this is the person to call. You're going to get a great experience. I haven't met your father, but I've heard nothing but great things. And anytime I've ever been on the phone with him, it's been nothing but professional. But if they want to reach out to you, maybe it's a younger people who want to move to Brant, I'm going to give you Brant too.
Yep, sounds good.
Haldimand, Norfolk, where would they find you?
So obviously through our office at Remax Escarpment, on our website, peterandchuck.com, or our handles at Hogeterp Homes. So. And
Hogeterp Homes, is that on Instagram and Facebook?
Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as well, yes.
I keep calling it Twitter too, and I've been corrected 100 times.
X. My bad. Yeah.
And I really do hope that, the people who are coming into these areas are calling the agents who know the land, especially if it's a property that requires specialty or specialized knowledge. And I honestly wish you guys the best.
Yes.
I love what you're doing. I love seeing your signs. I'd say I'd love to see your billboards, but you guys are word of mouth and referral a lot.
Maybe we'll give billboards a try here soon.
Yeah.
Put them up right beside Kate Brock's team
that's okay. We welcome it.
Exactly.
So once again, thanks for coming.
Yeah,
if
for
anyone
sure.
wants to see this podcast, will be airing in May. So we're a little bit out, but you can listen or tune in on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube.